Greetings, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to another session of training in SAP. This is your SAP consultant, Adiele Kelechi. We have been on a series of training where we're looking at the master data in SAP FI, to be specific. So you're welcome to another session. Today, we are going to be continuing in the series of our training. We're going to be looking at vendor payments. But before then, just to recap, throughout this session, we've been looking at the concept of master data in ARO, in AP, that's accounts receivable, accounts payable, and general ledger. How do you create master data? How do you create invoices? How do you perform follow-up transactions like reviewing, editing your documents? How do you look at your line item analysis? So we've had a series of trainings, bordering on some of these topics. You can actually find me on YouTube at Adiele Kelechi. Subscribe to our channel, and you can get details of the previous trainings. Or why not, you can reach me through our email, my phone number on the screen, and of course we could discuss more. However, for today, we're going to be also looking at another very interesting topic. That is now these are a series of trainings we have had, but I'm just going to go straight to what we have for the day. Today we're going to be looking at vendor payments. Before now, we have looked at vendor master data, we have looked at the vendor invoicing. Now we're going to be looking at vendor payments, how it's being done manually. So we have said that from a previous video that a vendor, a supplier, is actually one who offers services to you, and in turn, you actually make payments for such services that have been offered. Please check the previous video. We've talked about that in FI, SAP FI, FI doesn't go through the usual procure to pay processes as is being done in materials management in SAP. In FI, you get the vendor master can be created at FI level, invoices can be generated at FI level. However, the difference is that FI invoices post directly to the GLs, and they are used in rare cases in live scenarios in companies. They can can actually have situations where that warrant you to use this transaction code. But please remember to always consult with your consultants if you have any issues with the right document to use in posting your transactions. However, for today we're going to focus on how to make payments for open vendor invoices in SAP, of course, with specification to FI. That's the finance part. Now we're going to go to our SAP. It's quite a straight process. So we're going to go to SAP. The transaction code to make your vendor payments is F-53. So I'll go to my SAP. Sorry, I need to get that on. Okay, so we're in the demo SAP system. Of course, we're using the ECC version, which is not so different from the S4HANA in terms of the documents. So the transaction code to create a vendor payment manually is F-53. So please enter your F-53, the command bar, or why not, you can go through the easy access path, through the menu path. Before we actually do post and outgoing payments, which is what it's called, we need to we can actually view the vendor's account to get first-hand information on the activities of this vendor before we make the payment, to be sure that indeed that the invoices we're trying to pay for has not been paid, it's open, or it's actually the actual invoice we need to make payment for. So it's always advisable that before you run your payment, please run your vendor line item display for deeper for more information about these vendor transactions. So I'm going to click on new screen. If you want to create new sessions in SAP, you have a new GUI. You can create up to 6 sessions so you can work on different windows at the same time. The transaction code to view vendor line items is FBL 1N. So keep that as a command bar. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so please check previous versions for line items. The essence of the line item display in SAP is to further see brief detail about this vendor transaction, about this particular vendor transactions. Check whether the invoices are open, whether they are closed, whether they are cleared. Check the posting dates, check the due dates, check if they are blocked for payments, run the line item, see who made the postings. You know, basically the line item information gives you further details about this vendor, about your vendor transaction. So it's advisable to always run this line item if you have access to it, and try to look deeper into your vendor account before you make payments. In your vendor line item, you have the option of selecting a particular vendor you want to view his account. So you can click the drop down, search, just click the drop down. If you remember the vendor account number, you can actually insert that number. So I'm going to go down. Please specify the company code which you want to view your vendor from. So I'm going to view from SD01. So I'm going to go to Penjack. I want to view for this vendor. Company code is SD01. Now you have 3 selection criteria. You can view for open items only with an open key date. That give me open invoice for this vendor at a particular date. You can view invoices that have been cleared. A cleared invoice is an invoice that has a payment and it's been matched. The next is all items. I want to see both cleared and open items. So you select the option. I've explained the details, your type of views. Special GLs and noted items are things like down payment and down payment requests. If that invoice was packed, you can also view for packed transactions. And you can also, if the customer is also a vendor, you can also see that function here. But let me select packed in case. Also at the bottom in your line item, you can select the layout. So I want this layout. Click the drop down, you're going to see different types of layout. Layout gives you the presentation and display of how your line item actually is. So you have different layouts. You can select any one you want that fits your need. I'll see if I have this now. So I'm going to, after entering these details, we hit the execute button. Remember, the essence of this is to view the vendor account to get more details about this payment we are trying to make. Okay, so this vendor account is open. So you can see we have this, of course, at your status level. The status level tells you the status of your vendor invoices. Yellow means, of course, It indicates packed invoices, which means they are not yet ready for, you can actually, they have not yet been posted. They have been packed for probably subsequent review before it actually goes through the posting. So at this point, no GL accounts have been entered yet, so you can actually make a payment on a packed invoice. So that's the status for a packed invoice. This next status we're seeing is the red. Put your cursor. Of course, this is spoken item. So these are invoices that are yet to be paid for. Can at your the next column is the assignment numbers based on the master data setting for this vendor. So this I can read this as vendor invoice and the year. This is a combination of what makes my assignment. Document number, you can see this 7 represent this 7, this 10 represent this 10, this 8 represent this 8. So document number is the number for every document posted in SAP. It comes with a document number. The document type is KRO, which signifies vendor invoice. The document date is the date the document was created. The amount in document currency, the currency, the text. So basically, then just underneath it, you have the status in green, which shows that the transaction is actually cleared. So please, if you want to know more about line item displays, you can check previous videos, which is well explained. So the essence of this is I want to make a particular payment, and I want to make a payment for, let's say, this guy with invoice number, document number 7. So I have the date, document date, I have the amount. You can double click on it to drill down, see further details about this invoice. Okay, so you can see the payment terms. The essence of drilling down is to check if this invoice is actually blocked for payment. If it's blocked for payment, then you cannot actually make any payment for this transaction. If you go to your header, you're going to see who actually entered this transaction, the transaction, the code that was used, the document type, and every other information you need to know about this invoice. Then you can see the GL postings. You call up document review. So you can see the GL accounts that are affected, cost center, the profit centers, and all that. Okay, so document number is 7, and I'm just going to keep this in mind. So I'm going to go back to my F-53, which is for manual payments. So I'm going to make this payment on the 10th August 2021. Document date for this payment. 10th 2021. Okay, so reference. I can reference this with assignment number if I like. And reference with what you want. Document header text, I can just a payment. Depending on what you want. Now you have to select the bank GL you're actually making this payment from. If you know the exact amount you want to pay, you can actually put that amount here. So if I check here, hopefully I want to pay the 1 million. So I'm just going to put 1 million. No charges. Value date is today, the same date rather. Then here I can select the account or just select this, paste it here. Company code SD01. sometimes this appears automatically, sometimes you have to. The currency is NGN. So I'm going to go to process open items. Just confirm the dates. Okay, so there's an error there that says this GL does not exist. So I'm going to check it out with the drop down, GL, confirm the company code, and say okay. So I need a bank. So let me get, so I'm using this, which is 1,000 to the right. The bank account selected was wrong. So enter again, just to check. Oh, wonderful. So you can see that the system actually brought out all the open invoices here. I'm hoping that hoping for me to make payment for. So this is your payment window for manual payments. You have tabs. These are different payment means. These are also other means of payment which we're going to talk on as we progress in this class. So you can distribute all differences. If you want to make payments, you can do partial payment. You can do residual value, which I'm going to explain. You can do full payment, which is what we're about to do now. You have these tabs. Of course, this is to select all the items, the particular item you want to pay. This is to select all. This is to unselect all. You can actually sort this document by this particular sort field. Okay, this is activate all items. You can activate all items in terms of the amount. You can deactivate all items. Of course, these are discounts and all that. So these are little navigation tools that you need. So I want to make payment for a particular invoice, which is 7. So always keep your line items. So this is 7. So I'm going to go back to my payments. Check for invoice number 7. Okay. Let's see. So I cannot find. Okay, so it is 7. Okay, so you can see that this entails a lot more transaction. So, however, let's see. Okay, so if I'm actually going to make this payment, this is actually going to be a part payment on this. Let's see. This one, okay, so let me check this amount in document currency. Okay, I think I need to make some verifications. Okay, so I want to make a full payment. So I'm going to ignore this. I'm just going to do 8. So just pardon me. I need to go back, continue this process again. Sorry about that. I need to clarify the issue with my 10, with my document number 87. So do that later. Let's just focus on this. So I'll select the states. Select the states. So the document text. Let's just say payments. Reference. So I want to do 8. So let me check this. So let me just do this too. This doesn't have an assignment number, so it's going to use Check my header text. Reference key. Invoice number. 1,000 is my bank. So I'm going to leave this amount blank. Select my vendor 1264. 264. Okay, so I'm good. You can enter to validate. Enter again. Okay, so this is fine. I'll ignore this. Okay, so I'm good. So the difference is at this point I did not put any amount there because I want to be able to search through first. So you see what's happening. My figures are actually, so I think I need to check that later. Okay, so back to this. So let's just continue with this transaction we had in mind to do. So there's no amount entered, but I want to pay this. So if I want to pay a particular transaction, all I need to do is to double click on the amount. So you see now that amount assigned is 1 million. Not assigned is 1 million, meaning that I don't have any payment amount yet. So I need to do that in order for me to post this transaction. So what do I do? Now, if I had, of course, if I had entered the value in the initial screen, it would have come here as amount entered. However, I need to provide an amount to actually make this payment for. So I'm going to go to my document overview. So I'm going to select my posting key. So what do I want to do? I actually want to make a payment. So I'm going to credit my bank. The posting key 50 means credit. Check our initial videos to actually understand the concept of posting keys. We're going to have a full session on that, so please stay tuned. In accounting, we have the principle of debit and credit. In SAP, that's represented by figures. So we'll go into details in that for that in our next in subsequent sessions. But right now, in order to make payments to a vendor, I need to credit my bank because, of course, money is actually in my account. So I'm going to click on enter. Then, of course, the value of the money is 1 million. I think this is fine. No need for cost center. If it's required, I'm going to know. You can put your assignment here as the reference number. You can put your text, payments. Okay, so that's that. If you're done, click on process open item. So you can see now that, okay, so, okay. Okay, so you can see, I'm checking, okay. You can see now that I have a payment amount. Okay. Okay, so let me check this because I'm trying to get this amount entered. It's negative, amount assigned is negative. So we need to actually check this. So I'm going to check, I'm just going to simulate. So go to document and simulate. Okay, so we have this as the line item document. So basically, what we have done actually is to actually make payment to this vendor manually. The first step was to go to transaction code F-53, where we actually entered document dates and provided the bank. However, in this course, we did not put an amount because it could also be a case where you don't actually know the value of the amount. And we also observed that there were some issues with the line item, so we had to leave that amount blank. After then, we discovered, after we selected the invoice we want to pay, we needed to, the not assigned was actually zero, was giving us a balance. So we needed to clear that balance. So we had to go to follow-up document review, enter the posting key for the bank, because the first leg has already been credited. That's already been debited, which is your vendor account. So we had to credit the bank in order for this clearing to happen. So that's exactly what we did. Went to document and went to simulate to actually see the posting behind the scene. And we have this before us, which shows that the bank PHV is credited and the vendor account is debited. So if this is fine, you can click on post. So this is actually how to carry out vendor payments manually. Briefly, we're going to run through the automatic payment process, which is F410, just briefly to see. So you can see that document 14 was posted in company code SD01. So our transaction was successful. So I'll go to display. I'll go to my line item FPL1N. So you see it's still here as open. I need to go to list and refresh. So automatically it's cleared. So so when you actually do a manual payment and it's tied to an invoice, immediately that transaction is posted, the system actually does the automatic clearing. So you see it's cleared here, and the status is now green. So this is actually how to do your payments manually. Also, we're going to look at other payment routes or other payment processes. Like this is full payment, an example of a full payment. What if we have partial payments? What if we want the residual transaction to be done? So let's actually see the partial payments and the residual payment, and let's see how we can process those kind of transactions in SAP. Okay. Okay, so once again, we're going to leave our line items open. We're going to do this manually. So first of all, we want to, for this invoice, for 50,000, the vendor, we're actually making 200,000 part payments for this invoice. 200,000 part payment for this invoice number 2. So go here, so check the date, and also due date is very important. You need to check if this document is, so you can see the option of not due for payment, hopefully because of the payment terms, most likely. So, okay, so you see 14 days, so it's not due. However, because of this scenario, let's see if we can look for another vendor whose payment is due. So let's change this, find another vendor. So let's see. Okay, let's see Freeland. Let's see if we have any open transaction none. Let's see Liverpool. Okay, so let's change this company code to none. Okay, so we have this vendor. So we're changing the company code because we don't have any open transactions there. So I'm going to execute this. Okay, so we have, this is also not due. Okay, let's see. Due. Oh, I think most of these payments are not due. However, let's so now what this means is that these invoices are not due for payment. However, Manually, we can actually process these transactions. So if let's check for one more. Can't find that, then we can go ahead and process CS3. So let's see. Okay. Most of my invoices are not due. Okay, but however, let's go back and still learn how to make partial payments. But in real life, depending on the configuration, you might not be able to process a transaction that is not due for payment. But I guess this is open. So this is the factor that is making this due or not due. It's based on the payment terms. So I can actually edit this. Say pay immediately. Save. I want this to be due immediately, so I can actually make that changes. And go back. Let's refresh. Okay. Okay, so it's fine. Let me make this payment for this transaction. Okay, so let me check the dates. 01/01/2021. So I can use payment date as this. So 0205. Payment time for document type for payments KZ. Company code. Plus this currency. We need to check the currency here. Okay, this is USD. Oh, I understand. Okay, I see. I guess our previous transaction didn't go through because we actually used a different currency than the home currency. That's why it's kind of gave us the exchange rate difference. All right. Okay, so you can select the amount, select the bank. Here we can actually indicate the amount. We're paying 200,000. So yes, we have the vendor accounts. Okay. Process open items. So this is our amount entered. This is the invoice we want to pay with this amount, and we want to do a partial payment. So click on the partial payment tab. Everything is blank. Double click on the amount you want to pay. So this is this. Change this to 200,000. The payment amount 200,000. You can see that the payment amount and the amount assigned is cleared. We have an issue with, but we'll actually check that later and just run that through. Okay, so once they are not assigned is 0, that means your transaction is clear for processing. So go to Documents, go to Simulate. You're actually going to see that the bank is credited with 200,000, and of course, the vendor also with 200,000. So this is actually going to reduce the vendor amount, but it's going to do that in the same invoice number. It's not going to create a new invoice number. We're going to see the difference between partial payment and residual payment. In partial payment, it's actually going to pay the transaction and retain on that same invoice. So if we're done, we can post this transaction. Okay, so it's telling us we need to check this line. Probably there is no text. So we'll click on this line. So this is the issue. So provide the text. Enter. Go back to call up. So we see it's fine. Click on post. So we have document number 15, which is a posting document, and so we're going to check. So the invoice number 2, go to refresh. Okay, so you're going to see that. Okay, let me go back. Run this again. Okay, so basically based on configuration, this is the payment made, but see it's not cleared. It's not cleared, but the value in the line item has been reduced by 200,000. So we're actually going to do another manual clearing for this in order to take this out. This is based on design, based on configuration. So it's still open here and it's still here. So what I'm going to do is to do a manual clearing to move this difference to a residual value. We're going to see that much later. Okay, so the next I'm going to do in the payment platform is residual payments. So let's say the balance of 250, we're going to actually pay based on residual. So let's see, 25, posting date. Let's see. So the concept of posting date and document date I've explained. So 2021. Let's see. Okay, so select the bank. Select the amount. 250,000. Select the vendor account. Process open items. Dates. So we have this. So we're just going to go. We're going to see the concept of residual. So I'm going to go to residual to remove this. Oh, this is discount. Apply. Go to residual. Double click on this. Go to residual amounts. Okay, so you see, this is still showing us the difference because that clearing has not happened. Okay, so I might not be able to process this until I do the GL clearing. So let me open another screen. So we're actually going to do. Okay, so we're going to go to F-44 to do a vendor clearing, but please take note. This posting is actually based on system configuration. Normally, this is supposed to clear and drop a 250,000 naira open item here. However, your system might do that, but also if it does this, then you should also do what I'm trying to do. I'll have to do a residual, a clearing to actually clear this payment against this invoice so that I get the actual value of this open item here. So select the vendor account. I'm just going to copy from here. Include the clearing dates. So 1-02-2021. So it's fine. USD, process open item, data. Okay, so side is blocked. I guess it's from here. So I'm going to exit this screen. Okay, go back, execute. So what do I want to clear? I want to clear the 200,000 with the 450,000. So select this. The essence of clearing is to create the residual difference that should have been done. So this is another way we are going to come to clearing, but I'm going to do clearing and posting the difference into the vendor account. So the difference, I'm going to do a difference posting. Let the 200,000 clear the invoice value of 450 and drop a difference posting of 250,000 in the vendor's account. So what do I do? Come to difference posting, double click on that. So you see now, I've told the system, take this balance back to the vendor account and not assign the 0. So go to document, simulate to check. Okay, so it's telling me setting correctly. Okay, so this is I need to check the posting key versus this account to make sure I'm able to process this transaction. This is let me check. So this is a table, a field issue in the table. Let me check the posting key and make sure posting key it's supposed to reduce the vendor 34 other payables. I can do 38. This is not a correct posting key. I can do payment clearing. Just say order clearing. Try that. Okay, so I need to check this error. Let me run this again. Okay. So this will also show you, in case you have, how to identify errors. Okay, so clearing this, clearing this. Okay, so I'm going to go in. Check this. Posting difference. Here. I'm going to simulate this. Posting rules for posting 34 and I can't do setting correctly. So let me check this just a minute. Okay, so we've been able to sort out the error. I think that has to do with the posting key field status that of course in the configuration screen field status actually talks about the status of every field, whether they are required, whether they're optional, whether you should hide them. Actually, the field status in the posting key and the field status in the GL account had some discrepancies. So I had to actually sort that out. Well, when you have such errors, if you're not the consultant, please consult a consultant, and they're going to actually sort that error for you. So let's go back to clearing. Remember, we're actually doing clearing, wanting to clear the difference. So select the account, clearing dates, process open item. Fine. So we're trying to match or clear the invoice with the initial payment we did. And we're using post with difference posting. We can use the residual. The essence of the difference posting is that I want this to clear and let the balance remain in the vendor account. Of course, residual posting will do the same. So select this, double click on this space where you have difference posting in order for the system to match the difference and give you, send this difference to the vendor account. Go to document and simulate. You can see that it's been the difference has been sorted out. And this difference will hit the vendor account. Then click on post. So this has been posted in company code with a new document number. So go to the vendor line item. Remember, what we're trying to clear is we actually did a partial clearing. However, they remained open in the vendor account. So we need to, although the value as per the total will be correct, however, we need to clear this out of the vendor account. And we have just done that. So go to list and refresh. So you see now it's been cleared, and the residual of 250 is now, the balance of 250 is now sitting in the vendor's account. So we can now go and continue with the residual posting process, where we said that out of the, okay, we initially thought it was 40, but what we have now is 250. Out of the 250, we want to pay 200 and make this 50,000 residual value for the vendor. Remember, in the partial payment, it clears and keeps the vendor account. The residual is actually also going to do the clearing. However, it's going to create a new document number. So let's go and do that. So put the dates, posting dates. 01, the 2021. Put the account. I want to pay 200,000 and make the other 50,000 residual. Select the vendor's account, since open item, validate by entering. So I'm going to go to residual item, double click on the amount. So you can see that this is the amount for payment. This 50,000 was not paid for. So we want this 50,000 to go as a residual item, and also a new document to be created. So let's do this, 50,000, enter, let's confirm that. Okay, so sorry, I need to put a negative since it's a payment. So we have not assigned 0, go to document, simulate. Oh, okay, so I guess the account was does not exist. Okay, thinking we had, so this is debit bank. Okay, let me check the line item. Okay, see what's there. Oh, I see. It's the vendor account. So we have issue with the GL. So we're crediting bank and debiting. Of course, this was an expense. So let's check for the expense that exists. I think this is this. Let's check that. Okay. Let's check. Okay, this is fine. So let's go back again and see really what is wrong. So we want this to go to residual. Let's go to simulate. This does not exist. So let's check 4017. Search. So it's actually very correct. So we need to check this transaction. There was an error. 405. So this will go. Okay, so this is cancelled. So check this. Run this again. I think this has to do with the initial GL. Okay, so okay, so this is debiting. Okay. Let's check what it needs. So this is making the payment. So debit. Okay, let's just see this. If the error persists, then we'll need to just explain the process and sort that out later because we need to go to another session. So the process is of residual is this is the amount entered, go to residual items. So I want to clear part of this and make 50,000 residual. That's the negative. Okay, so this is a process. However, we're experiencing some issues here with the posting key, with the GL. We are actually going to check this and make sure you get the right response to this. However, this should automatically just process and get the balance to the other side. Okay, let's say we're leaving this. We want to distribute charge off difference. Say so I want to charge off this difference to an expense account. So let's say 40. So it's an expense account. Enter, put the amount. I think it's 50,000. Charge off. So charge off means write off the difference. Go to documents, simulate. Okay, the cost center. Select cost center. So this goes to PR cost. Enter. Oh, okay. Okay, I guess this should have been a minus. Okay, I see. So let's just correct this. So charge off. Okay, sort this out. Okay, I'm seeing that. Okay, I think I need to go back. Okay, so I think the issue here is the negative difference. I think that is what is wrong. However, the essence of charging off is actually to write off the difference from the account. We're going to see how that works. So let me just go back. So we have this, but it's not actually what we want. Let's go back. So let's say, just explain the process of charging off. So we want to charge off, let's say the payment is actually confirmed. However, we had discussions with this vendor and he said, look, charge off the difference. So let's say payment is 45. It's for the customer's account. Okay, so the open item, sorry, okay. Okay. So you can check the line item, difference is 250. And we're trying to make a payment. Okay, I see. The amount is to make a payment of 245,000. Account, process open item. So this is that. We're matching it against this guy. However, we want this 5,000 to be charged off of this. This is not supposed to be outstanding, so we have an arrangement. Look, discount this or charge this off, or let's say there was an expense for haulage or logistics that we didn't take care of, that we're supposed to be charged off into not part of this vendor's invoice, and this should have actually been charged off to an expense account. So you can use the distribute difference to probably another GL or charge off difference. So go to charge off, to the transaction code. This is payment. I want that to be debited to credit, but take note that the difference is a negative. So let's see, this to be credited, reduce an expense, is to reduce this expense, 5,000 balance, center, say charge off, go to documents, simulate. So you can see now that this has actually closed out this transaction. So charge off difference is another way of actually making payments to your vendors. So I'm going to post this transaction. And this is done. Okay, so we can go back to the vendor line item, try to refresh this. You can see that the transaction has been cleared. All the difference goes down to cleared account. So this is an example of different payment scenarios for a vendor transaction. Don't forget, we have looked at vendor payments. We have looked at different ways of making payments to a vendor. Also, we have different payment methods, which we're going to look at later. The steps, F-53. We also looked at clearing. clearing a vendor account, probably when a payment and an invoice is still open, you can use the clearing F-44 to clear your vendor account. And in our subsequent class, we look at automatic payments for vendors, the F110 transaction code, which is used for automatic payments. So I'm just going to run that briefly. So if, of course, making payments manually can be cumbersome and very stressful, SAP has a functionality for where you can make your payments automatically, make bulk payments automatically. That transaction code is F110. However, I can't do this now because I'm using actually a training session of this software. So actually, but this is just a process. Select the run date, select the identification number, set your parameters, enter the company code for which you want to do your payment for, enter the payment method, enter the next payment date, probably 31st. Select the vendor for which you want to make a payment to. You can also use the drop down to select list of vendors. You can also make automatic payments to more than one company code. Free selection is to specify a particular document or a particular posting date. So these are the options. Okay, you can get a document number or others. Additional log, probably just options for what you need to do with your payment run if the log, if it was like a feedback from the log. Click on enter, select the vendor account, click on enter, and save your parameters. Go to status. After saving parameters, the next step is actually to do your proposal. So the proposal is like a test to see if your payment run will be successful. When that proposal is done, go to edit, go to proposal and check if there are exceptions, check the display log if it was successful, then you can do your payment run. Payment run automatically makes that payment. For bulk payments, you can actually make that program and it can clear and make payments to a lot of vendors and a lot of invoice at the same time. So you have the steps. We're going to look into automatic payments in details in our next session. Okay, just know that after the payment run is executed, the payment file is generated and it goes for workflow authorization and approvals. Of course, that is also, there can be an interface between your automatic payment and your bank. When it's done, you can generate, the automatic payment generates a file that can be through, of course, an interface that can be a payment medium that can be sent to the bank through a program. You might need to also work with your back team to make sure that this configuration is successful. We have reports in accounts payable, vendor reports. You can, on your own, try these reports, just to make sure you're familiar. So you can see vendor, the first report is for vendor account display. Just going to run this. So this would actually display vendor balances for a specific vendor and for company code and for a fiscal year. Okay, so probably this there's some criteria that it's not actually set for this now. Okay, so if you select the vendor account, then you can run the vendor balance display. This will just display the balance of the vendor, the debits, which are transactions like payments, the credit invoices, and you have your balance. So your free time, feel free to go through these transaction codes to see more information, to probably run this report and try your hands on them. Oh, thank you very much. This has been quite a session. Remember, today we have learned how to make payments to vendors using different routes. And also we have seen vendor clearing, which we're actually going to be looking at in detail in our next session. Feel free to visit our YouTube channel. Feel free to WhatsApp the number on your screen. Feel free to send us an email if you probably require more explanation to this video. If you require training and all that, why not? You can reach out to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you once again for viewing. I appreciate your time. Do have a lovely day. Thank you very much.